Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This is Gianna and I'm Rihanna, and our channel is all about life and being a mom and being a baby. So if you enjoy those type of videos, please subscribe. So today I just wanted to give you guys a fun little story time about how this little angel came into mommy's life. I'm a very big firm believer in when you're pregnant, you need to surround yourself with positive stories, positive energy, positive experiences so that you can have your own experience. And that's something I definitely focused on when I was pregnant. If someone had like a really bad delivery story to tell me or labor story, I didn't want to hear it. It's not that I didn't appreciate what they went through. It was just like, I'm on my own journey and I'm trying to make it as positive as possible. So I didn't really want to hear any negative stories. So this will be a positive story. Nothing bad or scary happened. It was actually pretty legit and I would totally do it again. So Gianna, she was born on April 30th. So my story kind of starts before my delivery. I was diagnosed with cholestasis. And what that is basically your body is redirecting your bile to the baby. So there's a high rate of stillborn deaths and just a lot of different problems. So it's a very, very serious condition. And I can do a whole nother video on like how I found out I had cholestasis or what led me to even think I had it or any of that. If you guys are interested, it is a very rare condition. So I don't know how many people would actually be interested in a video just on cholestasis. But if you are, please just comment below. I will make that video. So I was diagnosed with cholestasis. Actually, I took the test on a Tuesday and was waiting to hear back the results. Usually you have to go to like an outside lab for this because it's so rare that they don't run the test normally like in your doctor's office. It was, the weekend. I hadn't heard anything from my doctor. So I was kind of assuming maybe I didn't have it since I didn't hear from him because, usually when you take a test for something, if you don't hear from the doctor, that's a good sign. So on Sunday, when I'm sitting there chilling, folding some of her clothes, and I see my doctor's name pop up on my phone, I'm like, okay, he's calling to tell me I have this condition. So I answered, and in the back of my head, I already knew he was gonna be telling me I had cholestasis, right? So he was like, yeah, the test results came back, and you have cholestasis or cholestasis. I'm not sure how you say it. And I was like, okay,
what's the next step?
And he was like,
well, what are you doing tomorrow?
And I'm like,
well, working, living life like normal.
he was like, well,
I would like to have the baby tomorrow. The baby tomorrow. Tomorrow.
I just was not prepared, like at all. Like mentally, physically wasn't prepared, nothing. But of course I was like, yes, because he told me, there's a high rate of stillbirths with this, and the quicker we get the baby out, the better for her. And Monday, I was exactly 37 weeks on that day. And he was like, that's the earliest we would want to induce, because they want you to make it to 37 weeks to make sure baby has, developed properly. So of course I said yes, but it was not ready. Her nursery wasn't ready. It wasn't painted. Her nursery is still not ready, but she doesn't sleep in there anyway, so honestly, it's not a big deal. But nothing was ready except for my hospital bag. We hadn't even put her bassinet together. We had ordered it, but we hadn't put it together. We hadn't put it together or anything. Her car seat, we had just put that together that weekend and figured that out. We were like, what the heck? It's better to be safe than sorry. They were like, get some rest. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day. And get some good food, get a good, last meal, get some good rest. My pregnancy meal, this was like I had a few pregnancy cravings, nothing too crazy, but this was like the one crazy one was I had to have a jalapeno cheeseburger from Whataburger. If you live in the South, you know what Whataburger is, you know what's up. And then I had to have cheese fries from In-N-Out. So we had that as our last meal. And tried to get some sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was just trying to get as much stuff ready for her as possible. My husband put her bassinet together that night. I made sure all her clothes were like washed and put away and organized. I was doing all this the night before, and we had to be there at 5 a.m. in the morning. Stayed up way too late. Got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning because the hospital is 30 minutes from our house. But my husband was dragging ass, and we were actually late to the induction. And I was so pissed. I was like, how are you gonna be late for the induction of your child? Like, freaking out, of course, because I was thinking, okay, well, what if we get there and they're like, well, we gave your bed away because you were late. We didn't think you were coming. Of course, you know, when you're a first-time mom, I think just a mom in general, once you're a mom, period, you just start worrying over the craziest crap. So, of course, you know, I was upset the whole car ride because I was like, I can't believe we're late for the birth of our child. We got there, I think like 6 o'clock. We were late, but they were having their own issues at the hospital. The nurse told me as soon as we got there, okay, hopefully this rocking is not distracting you, but if you have a 2-month-old or an infant, you understand, like, I have to rock her or she'll be crying this whole video. So hopefully this is not distracting. But yeah, we got there, and the nurse told me they were having their own issues. Someone had literally given birth in the elevator the second after we got there. They were having all kinds of emergency births that they don't normally have at this hospital. So we had to wait to get hooked up and monitored and start the Pitocin and everything anyway. So it wasn't a big deal that we were late. So I totally freaked out over nothing, which is, you know, the story of my life. But we get there, get comfy. She's like, try to get some rest and I'll be right back in as soon as possible. Couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything. I did set my like little aromatherapy up and got comfy and just waited for the nurse. I wish I could have napped. I wish I would have went to sleep early because that would have been the last like full night of sleep I've gotten in the last, you know, 2-3 months. I couldn't sleep. I was just anxious. I had heard that an induced labor was going to be way worse than natural labor, that, you know, your body isn't ready for labor, so it's just going to hurt way more. You're going to feel the contractions way more. So overall, I was just really nervous about the whole situation. I was already nervous about giving birth as it was, but like I said, I had tried to keep as much positive energy around me. I practiced meditation. We had taken all the classes. We thought we were prepared, but I was of course freaking out. What mom wouldn't be? So finally the nurse came back to the room, got us hooked up to the monitor, let us know that she's gonna be starting the Pitocin in about 30 minutes. So I was already 3 or 4 centimeters dilated. So she said that was going to help me a lot with the entire labor process because I was already a partial way there. I remember the last doctor's appointment I had, I was already 3 centimeters dilated, and he told me that, you know, she's trying to come like early. He had even put me, not on bed rest, but basically told me no sex and no walking around and stuff like from my 35th week. So she was already trying to come early anyway. So they started the Pitocin. I started feeling contractions. It was nothing bad. It was like, started like mild menstrual cramps and then amped up to maybe like intense kind of menstrual cramp. Definitely bearable. Like, so my whole goal was like to try to not get an epidural, more on that later, or at least go as far as I can before I have to have it. I felt them. They were okay. Like, they weren't fun. It was nothing fun about it. Didn't feel good, but I was like, okay, I can live through this. That was about, I want to say like 7 a.m., 7:30, or maybe 8 a.m. they actually got started because, again, they were having their own crisis and then we were late. So around, I want to say like 10 or 11 a.m., the doctor broke my water. And so he came in and he broke my water. And even when he broke my water, he was like, okay, so you want me to order the epidural now? And I was like, you know, no, it hasn't been so bad. Like, I've definitely had to breathe through some contractions and like do some exercises and concentrate and, you know, but so far it was all bearable. I was like, no, you know, I'm gonna see how much longer I can go. And he literally laughed at me. He was like, okay, I'll see you soon. So he must have known something that I didn't know. And what that something was is after you get your water broken, or at least for me, this could be different for everybody. He broke my water literally 5 minutes later. Those contractions started hitting like freaking Tyson. Death hit to the head. The pain amped from a level like 5 to 8-ish to like a 20. Like it was like, what the hell is going on? And they started coming so much closer together. First it was like 5 minutes apart. Then after 30 minutes of that, it started being like 3 and 2 minutes apart. Like the most intense contraction. I couldn't imagine it getting much worse than that. So by then I was like, I want to say 7 centimeters dilated. And I was like hitting that button, nurse, I need the epidural. So he was totally right. And my doctor always has that kind of funny sense of humor. Like he's been there, done that. He already knows who's going to take the epidural and who's not. And I was not offended by it at all. And what I really want to say about an epidural is, if you know there's a chance that you might take the epidural, or if you're okay with taking the epidural, just take the epidural. I let myself get mind trekked into like, oh, you like try to do it naturally, blah, blah, blah. Girl, take the epidural. The guy came in for the epidural. He was an older gentleman, and I don't know why that made me feel really good. Like, okay, he's probably done this like a million times. And honestly, the epidural itself was scary. It didn't really hurt. It was just super uncomfortable. They do numb you first before they even give it to you. But it was still just like super uncomfortable because you're just so nervous. Like if I move, I'm gonna be like paralyzed for the rest of my life. They make you like sign this waiver, like you could be paralyzed, you could die, you could blah, blah, blah. You know, and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this just for pain. But you know, I signed it and I took it. But it went fine. Right now, as of today, I haven't had any back issues or any kind of nervous issues from having the epidural. I'm totally glad I took it. So he gave me the epidural, that went fine. Oh, and I didn't even tell you guys, like my mom wasn't even there, okay? My mom decided to go on vacation. This was months ahead of time. She had planned to go on vacation on this week, you know, in order to be back for the baby. I don't know why she chose within a month of the baby being born to go on vacation, but she did. And so she was not there. So that definitely added a layer of anxiety for me because I always envisioned my mom being there, you know, while I'm giving birth because it's my mom, right? And I'm an only child, and this is her only grandbaby. So I was already like stressed out about that, and getting the epidural, I was just like, I want my mom, I want my mom. I turned into a big old sobbing baby. I think it was just like emotionally, like the way those contractions had went from 0 to 100 emotionally crushed me because I really thought I was gonna be able to go through this with no epidural. I don't know what I was thinking. So I got it, and honestly, once that stuff started kicking in, I was a new person. So, you know, my husband was there, my aunt was there in place of my mom. They were there from like the beginning, right? And then other people started trickling in, and it was great. They started trickling in right after I had this epidural because, honey, the epidural is life, okay? Get the epidural. Don't let people talk you out of it unless you're just totally against having drugs. If you yourself have the mindset like, I don't want to take anything, more power to you. You don't get a cookie afterwards though. I just want to let you know. No one's there to award you a key to the city. You literally just get to say, I gave natural labor, and you know what? A slow clap for you, honey. I took the epidural and I loved it. So people started trickling in. Then it was my other aunt, a bunch of my husband's sisters. He has 5 sisters. I just remember there being a lot of people in the room. There was like a good 7-8 people in my room. And honey, that's when the party started. I didn't feel anything, okay? I didn't feel any contraction. And you felt like a numbness, but I could still move my legs. I could move my legs. I couldn't like get up and run or anything, but I could move them up and down, situate myself, turn over to my side if I needed to. I was literally watching my contractions go on the screen. Like, oh, there's a contraction. Oh, there's a contraction. So then it turned into a full-blown party. Someone brought some Hennessy. Of course I wasn't drinking it, but everybody else was drinking Hennessy pregnancy mixed with margarita. Everybody was lit. We were taking bets on how much she was gonna weigh, what time she was gonna be delivered. Because of course it's my first pregnancy. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be in labor for at least like 20 hours or something, like, and I'm being induced. It might take a long time to get ramped up. But believe it or not, like every hour I was getting a whole centimeter, if not a couple centimeters, you know, just trucking along. So like 2 o'clock came around and the nurse came in to check me and she's like, you are almost there. You just have a very thin layer of your cervix to go. And you're pretty much already dilated. You're gonna be pushing very, very soon. And I was like, wow, that is pretty quickly from, you know, about 8 in the morning to just 2 in the afternoon. I was not expecting it to go that fast. But we're just, you know, kicking back. We're watching TV, we're taking bets, they're drinking. We're just having a good old time. Taking pictures and videos because I didn't get to take maternity pictures. I was supposed to take them that week. So that was disappointing, but we took them in the hospital. So of course they weren't like all glam or anything, but I'm glad I did get some pictures of my belly right before I gave birth. 3 o'clock rolls around and she comes to check me and she was like, yep, it's time to push. You are, you know, all the way dilated. I believe 10 centimeters dilated is what they wait for. Cervix is completely dissolved. By the time I was like 9 or 10 centimeters dilated, I did start feeling the contractions again, even through the epidural medication. It was, of course, nowhere near like it was, and it was almost nice to kind of feel it, like, okay, this is happening. So she was like, you're gonna have to get ready to push. I had like the best nurse. She gave a full coaching session on exactly how I'm supposed to push. Basically, it's summed up to when you're having a contraction, you push against the contraction like you're trying to take a poop. She told me, you know, we could be pushing for like some hours because it's my first baby, you know, and because a lot of people just don't even know how to push the baby out, especially if you've had an epidural, your legs, everything is numb, so you can't even feel yourself pushing. But again, my legs were not completely numb and I wasn't numb all the way down there, so I could feel the contraction coming and I could feel my push, not completely, but I could feel the pressure of the push. So the first contraction came, we did 3 pushes. Second contraction came, we did 3 pushes, and she was like, you have to stop pushing because your baby is now coming out. And I was in shock. Also, I want to make a note that I asked the nurse, and this was something they told us in the class that we took at the hospital. They told us the nurse can put like oils and stuff on you right before you start to push and while you're pushing, which she did. She was doing a lot down there, actually. I always thought like they just coach you through it, like hold your feet or whatever, but she was like putting oils, like trying to loosen it up. Like, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to gross anybody out. But I guess if you're pregnant, you're probably past that already. But if you can ask your nurse to do that, it made a huge difference. Second contraction, 3 more pushes. She literally told me to stop pushing. She was like, if you push again, you will have the baby. I'll deliver it, which I'm capable of doing. This is what the nurse said. But doctors frown upon that because that's their job. They just show up at the end. So she told me to stop pushing. Had to go get my doctor. So the doctor came back in. I did my last push and baby Gianna was born. While you're pregnant, probably your whole life, you know, people have been telling you, you know, you don't know what love is until you have a baby, whether that be adoption or birth or however you get your child, right? And I knew this to be true. I never doubted it, but feeling that feeling yourself, it was love at first sight. Like, she came out and I fell in love with her. Like, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Like, I don't know, it's just like a beautiful thing. Like, yes, it's disgusting. Like, you watch it on TV or whatever, you're like, oh my God, it looks horrible, it looks painful, it looks gross. But when you go through it yourself, you guys, the love that you feel when you give birth is unimaginable. Like, honestly, I can't think of anything that's better. Like immediately after I had her, I was like, I want to do this again. And I do. I want to have another child. It is beautiful. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, like without busting out in tears, you guys. It's amazing. It's like the closest thing to heaven you'll see before you die. She was in my body. She was in my body, and now she's in my arms. And they put her on my chest immediately after. My husband cut her cord. I know I'm not explaining it anywhere near what it is, but it's literally like seeing a unicorn. If you were to see a unicorn take flight right now, that's how it feels giving birth. I just remember crying out like, that's my baby, that's my baby. But I'm so glad I did this, you guys. I'm so glad. I feel like a different person. I'm gonna be making more videos about just how it feels to be a mother as you go along, because every week you're changing. Every week the baby's changing. Every week you're changing. But yeah, delivering a baby is amazing. It is amazing. No matter how you do it, whether you have IVF, whether you have C-section, whether you have it naturally with no drugs, whether you have all the drugs and all the lens, whether you adopt, however it is that you receive a child, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think I'm leaving anything out. That's how she got here, and she's amazing, and I love her. So I hope you enjoyed my labor and delivery story. So if you have some funny or terrifying stories of your own, drop them in the comments below. Be sure to like and share this video to anyone who's pregnant who needs a good story to hear about a smooth delivery. Then be sure to share this, and be sure to subscribe if you like mommy and baby videos. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.